House today, 7 people were killed. Police found 38 other bodies.
I read the news today, oh boy.
Well, bad news travels like wildfire. Good news travels slow.
The media, much of the media, not all of it, is very, very dishonest. Honestly, it's fake news. It's fake.
Donald Trump continues his attack on the media as his top strategist, Stephen Bannon, calls the media the opposition party and says it should keep its mouth shut.
Every democracy requires a free and independent press to report on what the powerful are doing. Trump continues to denigrate the press and to bypass it whenever he has any opportunity.
I may be vile and pernicious, but you can't look away.
When we cover war and peace, we need a media that's not brought to us by the weapons manufacturers. And when we cover climate change, we're not brought to you by the oil, the gas, the coal, the nuclear companies.
In 2013, the Union of Concerned Scientists surveyed media coverage on the cable news networks and found that in 2013, surprise, surprise, MSNBC did a very good job of covering the climate and covering it accurately. But whoa, lo and behold, CNN and Fox didn't do so well.
I'm the best you can get. Have you guessed me yet? I'm the slime oozing out from your TV set.
The Fox News Channel, when given the opportunity to cover climate change, they got 28% of those stories accurate, which means 72% of those stories either were misleading or just wholly wrongly inaccurate, and they often just ridicule the science and ridicule the climate change stories instead of actually covering what the stories say.
That's right, folks. Don't touch that duck.
Well, I am the slime from the radio.
So CNN's error, it seems to be, if I'm reading this right, that they, again, this is their problem with everything, is they feel the need to engage in a false debate. And so they might bring on someone who's going to give you great information about the climate, but then they bring on a complete joker, a complete chucklehead who has a degree from some fictional university who thinks he knows what he's talking about. And so then they provide misinformation to the public.
The press is called the Fourth Estate. It's called the Fourth Estate because it has almost governmental functions in terms of being outside the government, but being able to criticize what is happening in the government so the public is aware of potential problems. Without that freedom of the press, as the framers of the Constitution understood, we cannot have a fully functioning democracy.
How carefully Fox So-Called News was choreographing the evening to make sure that the real issues that Americans care about, whether there will be a world for our grandchildren, climate change was not mentioned once.
But if in a fact-free universe, unless we have a media that is capable of correcting the record, then we have a president who can say almost anything to justify whatever he wants to do. And that, again, is a very, very dangerous situation in a democracy. Doubting climate change, for example, and have a larger and larger number of his followers, and indirectly their friends and their associates and families believe him and not believe science, and not believe the media, not believe policy analysts, and not believe people who are investigative reporters, and not believe the actual facts out there.
I'm the tool of the government and industry too.
We're brought to you by listeners, viewers, readers, people who deeply are committed to independent information, and that's what's critical.
The garbage that I feed you.
The media can exercise, though, a bit more discretion, I think, in terms of what's newsworthy, what's worthy of coverage.
Your mind is totally controlled. It has been stuffed into my mold.
For a large part of 2016, there's been a ton of discussion about fake news, how it spreads online, why it spreads in the first place, and who is involved in reading, believing, and spreading false stories.
And I think actually, examples like community radio shows, this is a really great tool to get to people to talk about climate change and some of the big policy questions there in a way that is not so rhetorical and in a way that is a little bit more inviting, as opposed to potentially getting into some really heated debate, as we see often on the political TV shows and sometimes the political radio shows as well.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do.
There needs to be a new strategy or a new system to report on news. If you disagree with something, essentially, a lot of times people are just calling it out as fake news. I don't think it's productive in the kind of long-term political debates, and especially with important things like climate change. And so I think there's a lot of areas where the left-wing media are going to have to reevaluate what they stand for and what their news and what their products stand for.
Why do we care about these issues? Why do we have to hold people accountable? That needs more than 8 seconds to explain. We need a media that provides that space. It's the oxygen of a democracy.